Hi everyone, welcome back to Naturally Mermaid. I'm Ariel Sahar, and today we have a very special treat because I'm doing a collaboration with my girl Andrea Katerina here on YouTube and Instagram. We're going to be doing a few questions and answers, and be sure to go follow or subscribe to her channel so that you can see the questions we answer on her channel. It's going to be really good, so you don't want to miss it. All right, Andrea, do you want to introduce yourself and say hey to the Naturally Mermaid crew?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. We came up with a little collab and we're going to do a Q&A today. Just to introduce myself, my name is Andrea Katerina. I also focus on like low waste, zero waste, sustainable fashion. So make sure to follow me and yeah.
Yeah, she has awesome content. Otherwise, of course, I wouldn't be doing this video with her, so you'll love her if you love me. All right, Andrea, let's get started with the very first question, which is, how do y'all feel about being brown girls in the sustainability space? I'll go first, and I'll say that when I first started sustainability, it felt like there were just a bunch of white people, which is part of the reason why I started my channel and part of the reason why I started the Sustainable Brown Girl podcast and community, because I didn't feel like there were enough people of color talking about these issues. But in fact, there are a bunch of people of color who are talking about sustainability. So now I feel very like a part of an elite group of women who are, wanting to save the planet. So I feel really supported with all of the women of color in this sustainability movement. What about you, Andrea?
Yes, I love that. And I feel the exact same way. Like when I kind of got into sustainability, I really felt like I experienced it from like a whitewashed mainstream version, and everything was like linens and glass jars and like nude tones. And even though I almost felt like in my mind I was told like this is what this looks like and this aesthetic is what it should be, and even though I feel like I tried to force myself into that community, I just always felt like a little like odd chickpea who like didn't really fit in, who was like trying to be a sustainable person without feeling like I actually had deep connections with anyone. The same way that you, Ariel, like started your channel and your podcast, I felt the exact same way. I was like, I just don't feel like I fit in this box, and if I feel that way, I assume that other people would probably feel that way. And so that's why I preach and follow people who preach that like sustainability looks so different for everyone. The more and more I got into sustainability, the more that I was kind of dipping into my own culture. I have learned really from my grandmother, and like we joke that I'm like just turning into her now. So it's nice to like be around people who really appreciate that, rather than like take from different cultures and say, okay, this is sustainable now, this is cool now. Like we from my family have been doing certain things out of necessity or just because that's the way things have been done, like in my family. And I just remember when I found Sustainable Brown Girl, I legit like had a little like happy dance. It was one of those moments where I was like, I have never felt like part of a community like this before, and I instantly followed, and I was like, oh my god, this is so fun. So I feel the same way. Like we are growing, and I feel like once you have your eye out, there's so many people in this space, and I love that. Yeah,
So many. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, it is a lot of just doing the things that our grandparents and stuff used to do, like reusing the containers and like having a little garden and all that, because I know my grandparents had a garden and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of like a coming home kind
that.
of, Yeah. All right, next question is, what has been your favorite zero or low waste swap? For me, my favorite swap has been, I say this all the time, and I just love my reusable cotton pads.
Oh yeah.
because they're so versatile. I can use them, like to remove makeup or to like do my skincare routine, remove nail polish. There's just so many different uses for them. And I think that they're super cute, and I just get so much joy from using them every day.
Yeah. Wait,
What about
do you use your cotton pads to you use them to remove nail polish?
Yeah, I do. And sometimes it's weird because it does like, stain it and stuff. But after you wash it, the hardness of the nail polish kind of falls out.
Interesting. Okay, because
Yeah.
I always assumed that you couldn't. But
Yeah.
I love painting my nails, and it was one of those things that I didn't do for a really long time. I may have to try that out. That is a great swap.
Do it.
For me, my favorite, the first thing that comes to mind is composting.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't know anything about composting until I went to grad school in Seattle. And Seattle actually, I'm pretty sure it's citywide. You compost. It's just a thing. People do it. And I was so grossed out by the thought of keeping my food waste on my counter in this little thing. But I got used to it. And the more and more I felt like I learned about how great composting is, I feel like for some reason, I don't know why, it just has a little special place in my heart of it's something that I know that I can personally do and feel really good about, of instead of throwing something away, it literally goes back into the earth and helps regenerate the soil and all that stuff. So I don't know, for some reason, even though when I first started, composting was so icky to me, I am now a compost stan. I'm yes, if I could be a sustainable swap, I would be compost. Here we are. We're growing, we're learning. It's my favorite now.
I love it. So do you just keep your scraps and then give it to someone else to compost, or do you actually allow it to break down?
So right now, I freeze my scraps because I don't actually have a lot of counter space, and I'm in a small apartment, and so there's just no place for me to really keep it without it going bad and just smelling bad. So I freeze it, and I live in London right now, and they have certain in certain neighborhoods basically. They have composting for the community, which is great. So I literally just go my frozen scraps and drop it off in a compost version of a dumpster.
Yes.
So that's my next goal, to have my own backyard compost with the whole worms and everything. If you told me that would be my aspiration 3 years ago, I would have been gross. But now I'm I can't wait for my own compost bucket.
Yes, I love it. I love it. That's a good one. So next, what has been your least favorite low or zero waste swap? For me, it was beeswax wraps. I tried them. I did not like them. I didn't feel like they really worked. Maybe I bought a bad brand or something, but they were not easy to use. Instead, I like to use these little silicone circular covers. I have them in one of my videos. About
and the ones that stretch.
Exactly. Yes. I like those a lot. Or just using, a glass container or something to store my, leftovers in. I think that's better than the beeswax wraps. What about you?
Yes. The first thing that I can think of is I tried a solid lotion bar, and I hated it. It's really actually hard to get it to go off on your skin, if that makes sense. I love solid shampoo bars and soap, because obviously when you put them underwater they'll lather, but with a lotion bar it is actually just a bar. So just imagine soap dry and trying to put that on your skin. So it takes a lot of time. You have to heat it up in your hands. And after I used it for a while, just like a soap would, it started to break in little pieces. And I'm how am I supposed to use this? Trying to put it in my hands and warm it up. And so I actually hate using it now. But I gave it a try. I didn't like it. And you know, we move on. We figure out another option. I think my next option is something that I want to look into is buying from a small business. I'm
Right.
trying to look at like shea butter, probably like in a glass container from a small business,
Yeah.
because that is just as sustainable. Which I've grown to
Exactly.
learn.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a trial and error. We're not going to like everything that we try.
For sure.
And some people may love beeswax wraps and some people may love a lotion bar, but it just wasn't for us.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I actually use beeswax wraps, but I totally understand. Like, they're just not for everyone. There's so many things that
Yeah.
are just, like, not for everyone. And that's why I love, like, the people who say, like, this is what I use, but these are other options that you could use for yourself. And it's okay if you try something and don't like it.
Exactly.
I feel like that's such important messaging, you know?
For sure. 100%. All right. Next question is, are you vegan? I am not vegan. I have been vegan before. I was vegan for about a year back in
interesting.
2013. But since then, I've been more, I mean, I try to limit the amount of meat that I eat. I don't cook meat at home except for fish. But, you know, if I go out to eat, then I typically will like order something that's chicken. But I do try to have like a few plant-based meals every week. And yeah, so I'm not vegan, but I definitely do try to incorporate a lot of plant-based meals into my diet. Are you vegan, Andrea?
Awesome. I'm not vegan, actually. I like to describe myself as almost vegan.
Yeah.
As like kind of a joke. Because I know that like that doesn't make sense really for someone to be almost vegan, because either you are or you're not. But for me, that just makes sense for some reason, because I don't eat meat. That is one thing that for me, it was actually really easy to stop eating meat. It was like from one day to another, which is not the case for everyone, and not something that I actually thought I would have such an easy experience with. But the jump from like vegetarian to vegan somehow seems like way more of a broader jump than, you know, just giving up meat. My relationship with food is a big reason why I'm not vegan, because like when I get into a restrictive kind of headspace, I actually become really unhealthy. And I just never saw a lot of people talking about that. It was just kind of like, you need to be vegan, and that's it. Like, oh, it's so easy, look at me, like I can do this and I can do that. But it's just like, if I can't get there, then like, why should I be feeling bad for myself, you know? And so the reason why I say that I'm almost vegan is because I think like most people, like we do try to get into like the plant-based diets, or just the plant-based dinner or breakfast, rather than having it be like, this is my identity and this is everything that I do. So I don't eat meat, but I'm not like fully vegan, but I will, you know, go to a restaurant and opt in for like a vegan pizza, or sometimes I won't, and sometimes I will get the dairy. And so like I live my truth in that, and just kind of let people decide, like, if that bothers you, then it's not my problem really. Like I feel like I'm finally in my space of like, I'm trying to be the best person I am with what I've got, with what I'm doing. So that was like a long-winded answer for basically the fact that no, I'm not vegan.
Yeah. No, but you brought up some good points, because there is a lot of pressure within the sustainability movement, I guess, where you feel like you do need to be vegan in order to make the biggest impact. And, you know, it's all about small changes, and, you know, you don't have to be
Absolutely.
perfectly vegan or perfectly anything in order to make a difference.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, well said. All right, last question, Andrea, is how can you be zero waste while living with a significant other or your roommate or parents? I know we both have significant others that we live with. I don't know about your boyfriend, but my husband is pretty supportive when it comes to the changes that I'm making around the house. He has a few lines that he's drawn, such as I'm not allowed to clean with vinegar. And
Oh wow, okay. That's so
yeah,
funny.
he just hates the smell. But and then the other thing too, I think, is that he likes to use his paper towels. So, you know, whereas I will use my reusables here and there, he will reach for the paper towels before reaching for one of those. So to me, it's all about like balance, you know, like this is the decision that I'm making. And while it does affect him and the decisions that he chooses to make affects me, you know, we just have to try to find that balance and respect each other's boundaries, and you know, just try to do what we can within those boundaries while respecting each other. So, you know, just do what you can. And I realize that by making the changes that you want to make, of course, the people that you live with will also see the changes that you're making. And sometimes that inspires them to also change their behavior. So it's just, you know, patience and being respectful of those boundaries. What do you think? How's your boyfriend when it comes to your low waist lifestyle?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a similar situation. My boyfriend, like, he's definitely not interested, but he's supportive,
Yeah.
which is nice. Like, he's not outright like against like anything that I'm doing, but I think it is like because a lot of the sustainability and low waste movement is very much centered on like individual change. Like, what can you do? Like, what are you doing? It like builds, it like magnifies your actions. And so of course, like, it's interesting that this question comes up because for me, and I think you mentioned it, it's like it's just kind of doing the best that you can do. When, because I specifically stopped eating meat for the environment. It took a little bit for us to get used to, like, okay, well, we're not going to share, you know, these nachos or these chicken wings anymore like we normally did. But now I'm so much more open to it, and he is as well. Right before I moved to London, I lived with my family. They would get like the big Costco water bottles, like the 48 pack Costco water bottles. And I remember I just like asked them, I was like, hey, like, would you mind like maybe not buying them? And it was like a very easy conversation where they were just like, yeah, why are we buying these? I was like, we literally have a thing in our fridge where we can just like get water. And then they stopped. And I was like, wow, that's so nice. You have to have like that support and not push your own views and like make people change because you want them to. But I got to where I am like on my own terms. So I don't want to do that to anyone else, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Like we were saying, it's just a matter of doing what you're doing, and then it helps to open those conversations with other people, and that can
Yes.
inspire them to make changes as well. So yeah, it's not, you know, do what you can do, but also inspire your people that you're with to make changes too, but don't push it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Andrea, that was our last question. This was
Great
so much
questions.
fun. I love talking to you. And we get to do it again over on your channel. So
Yes.
please go follow Andrea, Katerina. Links will be in the description. And go check out the channel or check out the video that we're about to do on her channel. See you over there. Ciao.